Back in the saddle again. I've always wanted to start a show by saying that. I hope you're having a fantastic Tuesday out there. God, Cone, what was I gonna? Isn't it funny? Like the more I look around, we were talking about this a second ago. Isn't it funny how like 95% of the people that are saying Dallas Turner is a dirty player just so happen to be LSU fans?
Oh yeah, it makes sense.
And like somebody accused me of being an Alabama homer yesterday.
You are.
Dog, I'm from Auburn.
You made it.
Like what? I was like, that's the biggest compliment you could give me.
Meanwhile, the majority of LSU fans are complaining that they don't have anyone on their defense to go get after the quarterback.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. LSU fans are upset because they don't have anybody that'll go hit anybody on defense. Yet, Dallas Turner goes in, and look, I'll say it again. I think it was targeting by the rule, by the written rule. Do I think it was a dirty play? No. So somebody else on social media was like, oh, well, 10 years ago, that wasn't a dirty play. Mm-hmm. I was like, whoa. So you're not understanding what you're arguing. You have a problem. You're saying that if it wasn't a dirty play 10 years ago, it shouldn't be a dirty play today. There just happens to be a rule where it's targeting now that wasn't there 10 years ago or back whenever some of these other guys were playing.
If it was the NFL, would he have gotten fined for that sack?
But it's not the NFL.
It's not the...
like Tim Brando made the best point. He said we should not be talking about dirty or not dirty. It's legal or illegal.
Yeah, like if he...
was that targeting?
I don't think it was targeting.
That's
I don't think it was targeting. I think you had it right yesterday when you talked about the excessive force of landing on the quarterback.
The body weight.
But then again, is that just an NFL thing or is that a college thing? I can't even keep up with it.
Who knows? Days. It's like what's a foul in college basketball? Absolutely nobody knows. The Chargers beat the Jets 27-6. I don't know how the Jets scored 6. James Madison upsets number 4 Michigan State on the opening night of college basketball. Get ready. And we're previewing this weekend's best matchups, best bets, including Georgia and Ole Miss. I'm Jake Crain. It's Tuesday, and we're turning up here at Crain & Company. This year's Ole Miss team isn't the same team that we've seen the past couple years. This isn't a team that is all shine but no grit. This team doesn't hang its head when it isn't going their way. In fact, they do the exact opposite. They have found a way to win. Now, outside of one opportunity on the road in T-Town, when the going's gotten tough, the boys from Oxford have held on and held strong. Against LSU, they outlasted them. Against A&M, they caught them slipping late. Now, this version of Lane Kiffin's team doesn't want to be respected. In fact, they want to be feared. They're physical in the front 7, more physical than they have been in a while. But can they be consistent enough to beat one of the most efficient teams in all of college football? And that's who Georgia is. Well, what's the best way to beat efficiency? With efficiency. Ole Miss ranks top 5 in giveaways a game. They do not turn the ball over. Jackson Dart isn't making the big improvisational mistakes that he made last year, and their defense is top 10 in sack percentage, top 30 in opponent interception percentage, and top 30 in opponent yards per rush. They aren't the doormat on defense of the SEC anymore. Now, the math says eventually Carson Beck has to come back down to earth for one game, right? He's got to make a couple mistakes in at least one game, right? But Georgia can't play average and get away against this Ole Miss team. The biggest problem with that is Georgia has only shown signs of getting better and improving, and they finish you Mortal Kombat style in the second half. So whichever side you're on this weekend, be it Ole Miss or Georgia, get ready, because the solar eclipse that is us actually getting to watch these two teams play is going to end up being one hell of a game. But remember, Ole Miss isn't coming in with just an offense. This team is more balanced than they've been in a while, and they know how to finish. I'm going to bring in my co-host, former Michigan quarterback David Cone, brother, former Western State, Colorado wide receiver Blaine Crain. When you look at the numbers, Jackson Dart and Carson Beck are exactly identical touchdown-to-interception ratio.
Wow.
Ole Miss's defense is not elite. I don't want anybody to get the thought that I'm saying Ole Miss is a top 10 defense nationally. But they're very opportunistic, and they're deeper up front on the defensive line and more physical. I think they can stack up with a team like Georgia for longer than they have been in the past, and they are taking advantage of opportunities. Typically, David, we've seen Ole Miss fall apart at the end. We saw them last year start out fantastically the first half of the season, then fall off a cliff late. This LSU team Ole Miss team outside of one game has found a way to win, and I think this team is more physical. You look at the run game, you look at Jackson Dart's ability to run, then you look at the defense being able to get after the passer, and this year when you close your eyes and listen when Ole Miss is on defense, you can hear the pads pop. And I'm going to give credit to Pete Golding as well.
No doubt. On the Georgia side of things, no team yet against Georgia has been able to do two things. One surprises me, one doesn't. The first one is no team has been able to get after Carson Beck in a way that makes him look like the young starter that he is, right? Like no team has made him throw, multiple interceptions that end up costing Georgia the game. On the defensive side of things, no team has been able to put up so many points that it ends up being a shootout, so you force Carson Beck to have to get into that sort of game. I'm thinking about the way that the Ole Miss LSU game played out. Even Missouri, with that high-flying offense that they have, put up 21 points. Georgia's able to win 30-21. Now, I think Ole Miss can do the second thing, right? Like they've proven that they can put up enough points. They can utilize this run game with Quinshon Judkins, similar to the way that Auburn was able to have success, even though that game against Georgia was in Jordan-Hare, but then also move the football vertically down the field to be able to score points against Georgia. I'm just wondering on the other side, does this Ole Miss defense, the same team that we saw struggle in the trenches at time in the Tulane game, I know that was a long time ago and they've gotten better each week. Can that defense force Carson Beck to make mistakes, or is he just going to stay on rhythm every single week despite not having Brock Bowers?
Well, I mean, the amount of time and I don't want to take any credit away from Carson, he deserves all the credit. The amount of time that Carson Beck's had in the pocket this year with this Georgia offensive line that continues to get healthier, that continues to get better, that we knew would be a strength. I think it's going to be harder, even though Ole Miss does rank top 10 in sack percentage, to be able to get there. And Georgia really hasn't had to max protect a ton to be able to protect Carson Beck, which puts other guys in routes. But when we talk about efficiency, and one of the reasons I've said I think so far this is Kirby Smart's best coaching job at Georgia, is because and numbers don't tell the whole story, but they tell a lot, especially when they're this slanted. You want to talk about team balance, so we talk about it all the time? Here's Georgia. Points per game, they're 9th overall in the country. Defensively in points given up, they're 8th overall in the country. Yards per game, they're 8th in the country. Yards given up per game, they're 6th. Yards per play, they're 8th. Yards per play given up, they're 15th. The only huge disparity, and you look at third down, Georgia is number 1 in the country offensively in converting on third down at 56.31%.
Wow.
On defense, they're number 5 in the country giving up. They are winning third down at an incredible rate. The two chinks in the armor, I would say, for Georgia. When opponents get in the red zone, they're scoring 89% of the time. All right, almost 90% of the time, they're 106th in the country there. Right now, I don't think opponents get in the red zone a lot.
That counts for field goals too.
Field goals too.
Okay.
All right, so you're giving up points, but 106th in the country puts you in the back end. And a point that you brought up: where did Georgia struggle with? What did Georgia struggle with defensively earlier in the year, and what did they have success against? Quarterbacks that could run, where you could stretch them laterally, because I think Blaine brought up a great point earlier in the year looking at Georgia. They don't run as well sideline to sideline on defense as they have in the past. Not saying they're bad, right? But we hold them to, they are the gold standard, right? They are the top of the top, the headline of the headliners. I think Jackson Dart's ability to stretch this defense laterally and then hit them north, like you mentioned with Quinshon Judkins, Auburn was able to do some things against Georgia with that. Where's Georgia had success? Against quarterbacks that can't run and just have a vertical run game, right? Kentucky. Teams like that. Even Brady Cook was able to stretch them laterally. I thought Drink did a good job, utilizing some of that. But Blaine, when you look at this Ole Miss team, when you look at the athletes they have on the outside with Harris and Franklin, you look at Prieskorn at tight end, you look at Judkins at the running back position. How long do you think Ole Miss can stay in this fight? And if they can stay in the fight long, can they continue to do it in the second half where Georgia has dominated teams?
Yeah, I think so. And I think a lot of it has to do with the experience of Jackson Dart, the experience of Judkins, the experience of this football team, especially on offense. And like you see the difference in a 10-win team in Ole Miss and a not a 10-win, and that's the defense, right? And you brought it up earlier. They're not great, but they're not bad, right? They're an opportunity defense. Kind of reminds me of USC a little bit last year when it comes to turnovers. A little bit better than USC, but the difference in games like this, I promise you, one is red zone and two is Jackson Dart's feet. All right, that's going to be the difference if Ole Miss is going to win this game. Not only in quarterback design runs, but third downs, escaping the pocket, things that break down. That's how you beat a Georgia team like this. And you got to have two guys on the outside that can go one-on-one and win matchups. That's how you win in the red zone. Where does that safety play? If you're going to be too high in the red zone, we got to try to run the ball. That's when the QB design run comes in. If you're going to play one high in the red zone, that's when you have to take your chance with a guy, one-on-one matchup, and that's what Ole Miss always has. They always have at least one or two cats. Trust me, you watch them play on Sunday a lot. That could go up and get the ball, and that's how you're going to hurt this Georgia team. That's how Missouri hurt this Georgia team, right? Brady Cook's feet, right? As Schrader had a good game, had 112 yards, nothing crazy. But taking your one-on-one matchups, wherever Lassiter's not there.
Spreads them out.
Wherever Lassiter's not there, you're going to take that other side matchup, and I think Ole Miss can do that. But can they get turnovers, timely turnovers, and how close to the cuff does Lane play this? How many fourth downs does he go on? All right.
All of them.
Yeah. I mean, if you're Lane, you just gave up 35 against A&M. All right. Georgia's got to score some points. You're going to have to make some conscious decisions whether or not 4th and 5, 4th and 4, depending on where we are, you're going to have to take chances in this game, especially on the road.
Yeah, without a doubt. I'm interested to see how he plays it tempo-wise, too, to try and keep his defense off the field, especially in the back half of the year. You know, they're an up-tempo team. Sometimes you can kind of regress defensively as the year goes on. Guys get worn out. You're playing more snaps, but I think that's where the depth comes in, especially up front. We want to know what you think.
One thing
go ahead.
Quick, the line's minus 10.5.
Minus 10.5.
The over-under is 58.5. You know, what keeps this from being a 24-10 game the way Ole Miss played Alabama?
Well, I think a lot of it is the tempo that Ole Miss plays at, but it's hard for me to sit here and believe that Lane's not going to, bring his big gun and try and win the way that he's won. When I look at the line, when I look at the spread in this game, I think what you're going to see is Ole Miss is going to throw some punches in the first half. We've seen Georgia not really, be the best team in the world the first half, and then the second half make the adjustments and kind of let gravity be gravity. But I'm going to be honest with you, man. Right now, I kind of like the first half number. For Ole Miss, against Georgia, I think that's one to lean on. But overall, man, this is a game I don't know if I want to touch, David. I don't. With all the other games on the board, if I had to, gun in my head, I would probably buy it down to 9.5 and take Georgia right now for a little bit less, because I mean they're at minus 112 at the 10.5. Probably looking at minus 120 something, maybe minus 130 at Georgia, minus 9.5 because of that number. That over-under at 58.5, I just think we could get so many different types of game from this game. There's other better bets on the board, but that first half number for Georgia and Ole Miss, I'm intrigued to see that.
Well, how much, would be the matchup I think about is like how much better is Ole Miss than Missouri, right? Even if they are. Both games are going to be in Georgia. And sooner or later, Lane's got to show up in one of these big games from a play calling standpoint. How much does Lane dip in his bag right here?
Well, LSU, I think he showed up. I mean, they scored, what, 55?
It's 55.
You can't tell me that he wasn't trying against
True,
Alabama.
but I'm talking about like against a Georgia or a Bama. You scored 10 points against Bama. I mean, that's kind of the kind of...
He did play that one.
It's kind of the crunches against him has been Bama and Georgia, these teams where they're deep, their defense is phenomenal, but they happen like Missouri kind of exposed Georgia in some ways. Georgia's a phenomenal defense, but exposed as in you can score against this team. Missouri left some points out on the board in this game, and you have more of experienced quarterback. Your offensive line is pretty damn good, and you have Lane Kiffin calling the plays. So I think Lane can keep it close. If anything, I'm buying this game. I would like Ole Miss plus 10.5 in this game and roll with the over. I think Ole Miss is going to be able to score some points against this Georgia defense. I really do. After what you've been seeing on Saturdays, this is not a shutdown, we're going to suffocate you to death defense. It's not. It's really not. And Ole Miss is one of the best offenses in the nation statistically, if you look at it. And I don't think Junkins gets enough credit about what he does in the backfield. And I think they'll be able to spread him out. I think Lane will do a great job with the jet sweep, sideline to sideline, and then hitting them north and south.
Let's see if they can.
And that's when you keep it. And that's when you keep it. You build off of it. And this is going to be a layer cake game for Lane. It definitely will. By the fourth quarter, I think it's going to be close. Yeah,
and that number at halftime is 6.5.
Okay.
Georgia at 6.5. Interested to see if that moves at all. But I like Ole Miss even on the 6.5, and I'm not a huge fan of that number. But we want to know what you think. The line's going to open up 7:15 a.m. Central. But speaking about hurt, we all know, go out drinking with your buddies, getting ready for the game that next morning, you can be hurting a little bit. All right, I don't have to sit here and write a dissertation or a thesis on what I'm talking about. Especially we got Monday night games, Thursday night NFL games. We now have college basketball. We got Maction tonight. However you get down, like I said, having some beer with the boys can lead to some not-so-fun mornings when you have to get up to go to work the next day. That's where Z-Biotics comes into play. What is Z-Biotic? It's a pre-alcohol probiotic, and I'm going to make it even simpler for you. You drink this before you go drink, all right? And you don't feel as bad the next day. It works. I promise you. It is a modern-day miracle. This is not snake oil. This is the honest-to-God truth. We've used it before. It is fantastic because when you drink alcohol, it gets converted into a toxic byproduct. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, which I did not know, David. I thought it was dehydration that made you, not feel great the next day. And Z-Biotics fights this byproduct. It produces an enzyme that breaks it down. That's as smart as I can get into it. I'm not a scientist. I just talk about sports for a living. Again, it does make you feel better the next day. So go to zbiotics.com. That's zbiotics.com/booster to get 15% off your first order with code BOOSTER, BOOSTER, at checkout. Z-Biotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, which you won't be, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. That's zbiotics.com/booster. Use the code BOOSTER at checkout for 15% off your first order. Doesn't matter if you're in college, doesn't matter if you're 38 years old and got 3 kids at the house. Trust me, this is a very, very useful product for you and the rest of the adults. And also, speaking about useful, it's very useful when you buy our merch. We're going to drop the link in the chat. We'd love for you to go grab some stuff. Like I said, we're close to unveiling the new stuff. Y'all have almost bought us out. We really, really appreciate it. But go check out zbiotics.com/booster. Use that promo code BOOSTER. And then go grab some merch. Like I said, we're going to put that link in the description and in the live chat on YouTube. All right, Coney, let's get to rapid fire.
All right, rapid fire. First one up, Monday Night Football. Chargers went on the road and beat the Jets. You guys watch a lot of this one?
Watch the whole thing.
Yeah, I did. Listen, the Jets, I know Zach Wilson's shown, some promise here lately, but it's just a bad situation on offense. Watching them, it's painful. And it's not just the lack of playmakers outside of Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson. It's the organization of it. It's the pre-snap penalties. And I want to make sure we give the Chargers their flowers on defense. What Khalil Mack's done this year, if you've watched them, and this defense, really showed it last night with Bosa. But it is against the Jets' offensive line that's awful. Looking at Aaron Rodgers on the sidelines, he told Derwin James that he's going to be back in a couple weeks. We'll see. Wasn't a very thrilling game, I will say. I always love watching special teams touchdowns, watching Darius Davis run that pump back. It seems like every TCU player is on the Chargers. But again, at the end of the day, the Jets, not a very good football team on offense, which is sad because, man, that defense is good.
And yet they're still 4-4.
I know.
Yeah. Here's my question, though, on the Chargers side, who are also now 4-4 after this win. Are the Chargers a playoff team?
Yeah.
I think they are.
Yeah.
I think they are.
So right now they're second in the AFC West, so they're not going to win the division. Like the Chiefs are just going to win the AFC West, and they're going to get that automatic bid, which means they have to be one of the 3 teams in the AFC to get that wild card spot. It's looking like 2 teams from the AFC East are going to make it in. Whether Miami or Buffalo wins that division, I think the other one's going to make the playoffs. What happens down the stretch in the AFC South? Do the Jaguars hold on to that lead and win the division? The Houston Texans are a 4-4 team that I'm looking like they could potentially make the playoffs. And then obviously you have the AFC North where the Ravens are 7-2 and lead of that division. Pittsburgh's 5-3. They can make the playoffs. The Browns are 5-3. Bengals are 5-3. That's one of those situations where the AFC North could get so many teams in with the way the wild card rules are now. Are the Chargers on the outside looking in?
I think right now, if you look at it, mathematically, yes, they're kind of on the periphery. But as we go throughout the season, I tend to trust, and I'm not saying in the playoffs, and I'm not the biggest Staley guy, just like you're not the biggest Staley guy, but I tend to trust Justin Herbert and the weapons he has around him with Austin Eckler, with Kelly, with Gerald Everett, with Keenan Allen, these guys they have outside, and then defensively with Bosa and Mack and Derwin. I think the Chargers will find a way. It's going to be a very fat pack. It's going to be very thick. You talked about the Browns. You talked about the Steelers. I don't trust the Steelers down the stretch. The Browns, we'll see. Obviously, the Cardinals aren't very good offensively right now, especially now that Josh Dobbs, who apparently is a superhuman being, after what he did with the Vikings this past week, the Browns shut him out 27-0. But I would say right now, it would be a good bet, I think, with the odds being what they are. I wonder what the odds are for the Chargers to make the playoffs right now.
I don't know. I'd like to see that and to see what the odds are for the Bengals to make the playoffs or win their division.
Yeah. Well, you look at the Bills have 4 losses too, right? Bills have 4 losses?
Bills are 5-4, I believe.
Yeah. It's going to get thick here at the end.
Well, you're
Bills
seeing
are 5-4.
teams getting healthy. That's what you're starting to see. And the Chargers are finally getting healthy. Bosa's finally out there playing. Bosa and Mack and that other kid they have, the Tua, I can't remember his last name, but he's pretty damn good. He's a rookie as well. And kind of the thing we talked about with Ole Miss is the same thing with the Chargers. The Chargers have got a lot better stopping the run on defense. And that was a huge problem for them the last couple of years with Staley. So, I mean, Herbert's still got a broken middle finger on his non-throwing hand. You can kind of see that when he's back in the pocket throwing the ball. So I wouldn't worry about the Chargers. I think the Chargers always just find a way to get in the playoffs at the end of the year.
Austin Eckler, 2 TDs last night. That was going off at plus 500.
Man.
The first touchdown score was going off at plus 475.
Baby ace.
Was trying to decide which one, but either way, good for them. Let's move on. NCAA basketball started.
Yes.
James Madison beats Michigan State in opening night.
Dude.
Just a wagon in life.
Doesn't matter. Football, basketball. You don't want to.
Who is like the James Madison athletic director? Give this man a raise. Good Lord.
One guy.
Every time I look up, James Madison's doing undefeated. Like they just come up to, FBS or come up to the Sun Belt. Hey, we're just not going to lose the game. It's going to be a wagon basically the whole year. College basketball, you knock off Michigan State. David, I thought these Michigan State fans were ready for basketball season. I thought it was turn the page.
I was hearing a lot of that as well. They're number 4 in the country, but I think they'll be fine at the end of the day.
I almost tweeted this out yesterday. That one of the funniest things about college basketball, we see this in all sports, and it's not every team, but these teams are going to be so different by the time we get to March. Like, I mean, who'd have thought last year, we ended up with the Final Four that we ended up with San Diego State and FAU. But I thought Bama looked good last night. Georgia-Oregon was a good game to lead it off. I know Georgia ended up dropping that one. Oregon ended up pulling away late. I think Biddle's a really, really good player. Some good matchups tonight, too. Auburn plays Baylor.
Yep.
That one's going to be interesting.
Right.
Baylor lost a lot from their team last year. Auburn's bringing it back a decent amount. But we'll see.
It'll be a fun one. Auburn's in the plus money there.
They are.
A dog bet.
That's the Bruce.
That Tyson Walker kid from Michigan State still had 35 points last
He's still there?
Yeah. And talking about James Madison, their football coach was talking with Luganbill. Was talking about how it's not right that they're not able to compete for the.
It's the worst rule. But
he made a really good point though. Actually, when he said the college football playoff decided to not be influenced at all when leaving Michigan top 3 in the country. They said whatever's going on with the University of Michigan, that's an NCAA issue. Why can't the college football playoff do the same thing when it comes to ranking James Madison? Now, he went on to say, I don't think we should be in the top 4 or anything like that, but why can't we be in the college football playoff rankings despite the NCAA rulings against us?
Explain it to me. Like, what's the NCAA? What's the logic there?
I don't get it.
I think he's 100% crazy. It is. So you mean to tell me that I have to sit around? When you train somebody or for a job, you're typically training not for that long, right? You're not really getting paid. You got that week of training, and then you start the job. Well, imagine if that week of training was a whole year of you working training for this job and not getting paid. I'm not talking about interning. I'm talking about training, having to go and do all the big boy work, having to run into that man at full speed, that full-grown man, but you don't get rewarded for it. The rule was, I'm not understanding why the rule is there. Because if you were just going to be a doormat and get your ass beat, well, that's going to happen. You're not going to win the conference anyway. But if you're good enough to compete and you're undefeated in the league, how can you not win the league? They did this with basketball last year. Some teams couldn't make, I'm trying to remember who it was, couldn't make their conference or won the regular season, then played in the conference tournament, won the conference tournament and couldn't go.
Well, you know how Stanford and Cal are coming over to the ACC, and to get all the schools to vote on that, they agreed to not take any revenue for X number of years, whatever it was, like over a decade. I guarantee it's a situation like that where all the teams that end up voting for a program to come into their league say, okay, we'll vote yes, but they can't win our championship the first year or the first couple years, something like that, which the school agrees to get in the conference. But then when they're really good, they're like, wait, we want to play for the championship.
Yeah, well,
it has to be that.
Well, it's whenever I've seen it, I've never seen it going from conference to conference on the same plane, like the same D1AA, right? D1AA to D1AA, Division I. It's always when you're going up a level. It's like when I was at South Alabama. When we played a Sun Belt schedule, couldn't win the Sun Belt. So I only see it going up. Like you're going from D1AA to true Division I or FCS to FBS. It's almost like hey, you're not going to be good enough to win it, so you're not going to be eligible to win it. It's not going to matter when everybody's just beating you up, behind the school. But James Madison, all of a sudden, you go to beat this little guy up, he knows jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
He's a black belt, and he hits you with a throat throat punch.
Yeah, it's never good when you walk up and they start stretching.
Yeah, that's never good.
Oh, God.
Pull out a bandana and tie it around their head.
On to Major League Baseball. The Braves pick up Charlie Morton's $20 million option and decline the $9 million player option on outfielder Eddie Rosario.
And just call me during the playoffs.
Need
man.
more pitching.
Call me during the playoffs.
Looks
I'm
like
sick of caring about the regular season.
the Mets are hiring Mendoza as their manager.
Yep.
Some other moves.
I would say good luck, but, as a Braves fan, I hope it doesn't work out.
The Cubs fired David Ross, hire Craig Counsell as their new manager. Craig
man.
Counsell.
I hate it for David Ross. Love David Ross. Former Auburn guy, transferred to Florida State. Actually hit a walk-off home run to beat Florida State and then transferred to Florida State the next year. Kind of a weird story there.
Old Trey Matthews.
Craig Counsell, little lefty.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you remember him scoring to win it for the Diamondbacks? Or the Marlins. Am I tripping? I'll have to go back and look that up. Why do I want to say the Diamondbacks?
And it sounds like he led the MLB Players Association during his 16-year career.
Yeah, look, Craig Counsell is very well respected.
Yeah.
Very well. It's a moving day, MLB.
All right, two more things here. We had saw this video of Caleb Williams talking with his mom in the stands after losing to Washington, and he was sobbing. And you made a point here, which this wouldn't be as big of a deal if he hadn't made fun of Max Duggan last year at TCU for crying.
Yeah, man. Like, what?
What did he do? Tweet LOL?
Why you talk different than you did before? When Max Duggan was crying after they lost the Big 12 championship game in the conference, you can see right now in this video, if you're on audio, you need to check this out. Caleb Williams' mom puts the, piece of paper over his head, and he's, crying.
She paints her nails too.
After they lost, yeah, how cute is that? Here's my thing. Look, is this something I would do? Would I go run to my mom and cry in front of everybody after losing? Right? After winning's a little bit different, right?
Or the last game of your career.
Or the last game of your career.
I cried my eyes out last
night. Like I wouldn't, no, I wouldn't do this. Do I think this? Caleb Williams tweeted at Max Duggan last year after they lost the Big 12 championship game to Kansas State, LOL, when he was crying. Then all of a sudden he deleted the tweet and went to a press conference like, oh, I meant this. We know what you meant, man. Like I was born at night, but not last night. You can't make fun of somebody and then go do this. Nobody hates anything more than a hypocrite. And that is one of the most hypocritical things that I've seen. You're going to clown Max Duggan, try and act like a big dog, then you're going to go cry to mommy, right, after you lose another big game at USC, not going to win the conference, again, not the offense's fault, if we're going to be honest, but you still lost. I don't feel like those two things can live together. It's like, now I can't take you serious. I don't care how many Fansville commercials you're on.
Soft. You're soft. That's what he is. You're soft. You can't paint your nails, go cry to your mom, then ask for 20% of the Bears. Yeah. It doesn't work like that. Everyone point and laugh at this man. That's what you do. You make fun of Max Duggan, who just poured his heart and soul out by himself in the fourth quarter and lost. Like, you can't do that. Max is a soldier. We know that with Max. Look, Caleb Williams is going to get drafted first and get paid a lot of money. That's fine. But you can't make fun of somebody that go do the exact same thing. And it's
worse.
And it's worse. It's because
worse.
You paint your nails, right?
No,
that makes it 20 times worse. And you ask for 20% of the Bears.
No,
it's Chicago.
The reason it's worse, Max Duggan got emotional at the press conference.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's true.
You ran into your mom's arms. You know what? Like, we've seen guys get emotional, like their coach embrace them, be like, hey man, it's all good. Like, we got, like, your first reaction was to run to mommy. All right? Like, this isn't Saving Private Ryan, dog. Like, to me, I don't know. It wouldn't keep me from drafting Caleb Williams.
No.
Right? It wouldn't keep me from drafting Caleb Williams at all. But it's like, man, it kind of keeps me from wanting to hang out with him, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm not hanging out with the dude who paints his nails.
Yeah, I
don't give a shit. I don't care how far you can throw a football or how good you're in the pocket. Like, it's just not a dude I'm going to hang out with.
Yeah, I don't know. There's been some Caleb Williams, just the PRs for Caleb Williams has not been.
And I'm just wondering how much of it is because of him and how much of it is because of the camp around him. Like, stuff breaking, I want the equity stake in the professional team, and, I'm not going to go number one unless it's to this or that team. Like, is that Caleb Williams or is that his camp?
Well, to me, I don't have that big of a problem with him asking for, like, a percentage of the team. What's the worst thing?
Let your agent do it when your college football's career done.
The timing of it. We can talk about the timing of it, but I don't mind testing. It's like, what's the worst she's gonna say? No.
Yeah.
Just run in the locker room and cry.
Yeah, like I don't want
That's what I did.
That's what I did.
Go cry in the locker room like a man.
Yeah,
Like,
I would cry like a little
you
infant.
go by yourself in the corner of the locker room, you cry like a grown man. You understand?
Yeah, I cry like a little infant in the locker room.
Yeah.
But I'm not jumping in the stands crying.
Hold me. But speaking about something that makes me want to cry, tears of joy, it's David's segment called Huddle Up.
Ooh, let's do it.
Where he breaks down a play each week in offensive play. Going to have a defensive rebuttal after it too. Let's go ahead and run this week's Huddle Up, and it's Bedlam.
Huddle up. Let's take a look at Ollie Gordon's opening touchdown on split zone against Oklahoma this weekend. This is pistol. Why to duo right, clipper slam. Let's break it down. We're in 11 personnel here because we have one running back in a pistol set and one tight end who we're going to motion from a wide 3-by-1 formation to a 2-by-2 set, and he's just off the hip of that boundary tackle. This is a huge split zone indicator. Now, what differentiates zone scheme from traditional gap or power scheme is that rather than dictate to the back which gap he has to hit, regardless if it's open or not, we're allowing the back and the offensive line more flexibility to block the defenders they encounter in the zone we're running to. So here we have clipper called. This is inside zone to the left. The offensive line is going to work that way, and then that tight end is going to split back across the flow of the play to cut that in man on the line of scrimmage in the C gap. Hence the name split zone. Now, the offensive line has all sorts of checks they can make depending on the defense. So let's look at what Oklahoma's doing. They're in a bare front with 5 men on the line of scrimmage. A lot of teams would check out of this play, or they would hit the slants on the RPO behind the front. Not Oklahoma State. They're a heavy run team. They stick with inside zone, and they catch the Sooners in a stunt. The nose stunts to the field. The Mike works that way too. Looks like he's influenced by the split action, but no one replaces that stunt to the boundary. So it allows the center here to work up to the safety, which is huge. Ollie Gordon does the rest. For a lot of teams, this is no gain, but Ollie Gordon treats this like a duo read, puts his foot in the ground, breaks a few arm tackles in the hole, then he's off to the races. He's an NFL back, and this was a huge play for Oklahoma State in what could be the final edition of Bedlam that we see for quite some time. This 11 personnel pistol, why to duo right, clipper slam.
Yeah, and you can see, look, the center on this play is so good. He's trying to work, obviously passes off, realizes his work isn't there. What does he do? He redirects and basically runs the ball for Ollie Gordon. He doesn't get the best block on that safety that's coming down, but he's able to get enough to keep him underneath. And Oklahoma at 2nd and 10, we got to understand down and distance, right? Which you're thinking most likely is a passing down. Especially when you come out and you're in 11 personnel and you're in what we used to call cluster, right? It's trips open at 11 personnel, but you're in that kind of triangle together. Mm-hmm. We used to call it cluster. We had a cluster check. Well, Oklahoma, like you said, they're in that bear, they're in that 5-down look. You've got the mic there. Once that tight end motions, that safety to the tight end side where the tight end side mugs him, which is what we used to call it mug, where you'd walk down because the free safety is a better athlete than the tight end. I'm not worried about that tight end beating me vertical because I can always catch back up. I'm worried about something underneath. Well, when that split flow takes that mic where he should go, and that safety tries to replace, the center being able to get a little bit on him, and there's no help behind, and you're in man behind it. But where Oklahoma screwed up, it is a stunt, right? They're running a stunt, they're running an action. The guy on the underneath on the twist doesn't get there, right? And then on the other side, he doesn't get there, which creates, and if you look at the side view of this, you can just see how massive, that poor free safety. Not only do you have to go up and basically defend 3 gaps, you got to go defend 3 gaps with a center kicking back off to get his hands on you. So to me, I think it was a combination of Ollie Gordon, the center running the ball for him, and Oklahoma not getting there on the stunt. But you're right, man. Oklahoma State did not check out of that.
So, no, they didn't. And we would always have to alert a bare front.
For sure,
Anytime we have anything, alert a bare front. So my question to you is, if you have this bare front where the Sam is walked down on the line of scrimmage and is in that wide 5 or that 9 technique out there, why should the Mike roll to the field as much as he did? Why can't he protect one of those inside gaps?
Well, with the way they have him aligned, I mean, he's almost directly behind the nose that's in a 0. So the action that Oklahoma's running, it looks like they're basically twisting both sides, right? And when you do that, obviously only 2, you never have 2 guys in the same gap. If you look on the right side of Oklahoma, they have 2 guys in the same gap. They're 100% wrong. On the left side, the first guy initiating the twist almost gets there, but he gets driven to the ground. The other guy goes over the top, creates that massive hole. That Mike is reading that split flow, right? He's reacting to the split flow. He's right, because the guy that's going inside can't set that edge on that seal, and that guy can't get over the top of him on the twist to be able to set it. So he's slow playing it. If he stays in the middle, he's not going to get there. You got to divvy it out that way, and you have that safety coming down. But what killed Oklahoma was they didn't get there on the stunt. And running a run stunt, okay, because that's what it was. It looked like a run stunt to me. Didn't look like a blitz. It looked like a run stunt to me. If you're going to run a run stunt, it is like blitzing against the pass. It can be really good. You can get there quickly, make a big play. But if you get picked up, that blitz gets picked up, you're skinny in the back end, right? You can give up the big play. If that run stunt doesn't get there, you can give up the huge play. And you saw what happened because that safety came down to replace, right, and mug up on that tight end. That center redirected because the mic was so far over the split flow, couldn't get through the trash. All he had to do was get a hand on Molly Gordon as an 88 and out the gate. But there was like 3 or 4 things that had to happen for that to happen. It was a great play by
that should have been a no gain.
Should have been a no gain.
And it probably is, even though the center works up and gets that safety, it probably is if you have a less talented back. Now, the great compliment off this play, which I'm sure we'll break down on one of these segments soon, Lincoln Riley and USC run it all the time, is the split zone bluff, where the tight end, instead of cutting that end man on the line of scrimmage, bypasses him, slips him. Now the quarterback pulls, and he's got the defensive end in his face, and he throws the arrow.
Well, we saw Alabama score a touchdown against LSU doing that exact same thing. Jalen Moreau kept the ball, and the tight end, if he doesn't get the pass, converts to a blocker. Now you have a lead blocker for the quarterback and the RPO on the outside.
What are you going to stop?
That's why it's so scary.
I know.
That's why it's so scary. It stretches you thin. But you know what else is scary? Aging. All right, losing testosterone. And it happens to all of us. You don't have to be a scientist or a Scientologist. All right, and if you're tired of wasting your money on testosterone booster products that don't work, I don't blame you. We're not here to get mad. We're here to solve problems.
I'm pissed.
Blaine's pissed about it. That's why our sponsor, Nugenix Total T, lets you try before you buy on their supply. And you get a complimentary sample when you text 231231 and enter keyword Crain, C-R-A-I-N. I don't spell it like that stupid bird. All right? Again, you're getting older. You get less energy due to the natural loss of testosterone. If you want to do something about it, go get Nugenix. Feel revived, energized, alive, and survive. And work out like you used to. All right, it'll get you. I'm telling you, it'll get you back to where you want to be. You can be your most efficient. The Test Defend, it'll help you turn back the clock, re-energize your life. Again, they let you try it before you buy it, and if it works, keep using it. If not, keep the sample. You have got nothing to lose. It contains key man-boosting ingredients. It's validated in 5 clinical studies and backed by years of research. So, get a complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. Hit home runs like Frank Thomas when you text 231 and enter keyword Crain. So the number 231, enter the keyword Crain, C-R-A-I-N. And if you text now, you'll get a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, their newest and most powerful fat incinerator ever. So that fat is out of here, mister. Key ingredients to help you lose weight fast and get lean even faster, absolutely free. So text 231, enter keyword Crain, 231, enter that keyword, and we got you. And they got you too. Nugenix. All right, David, what do we got next, bud?
What we got next, we have Miami taking on Florida State in Tallahassee. Florida State 9-0, Hurricanes now 6-3. I want to preview this game a little bit.
Well, to me, it's pretty simple. Florida State, we talked about Georgia being balanced. I went through the numbers, Georgia offensively and defensively, right? Florida State, one of the most balanced teams in the country. Points per game, 7th on offense. Points per game given up, 10th. Yards per game, 16th. Yard per game's given up, top 30. Opponent points per play, top 7 defensively. Points per play on offense, number 6. Yards per play, they're 7th in the country. Opponent yards given up per play, top 30. It's a complete team. They didn't play with Keon Coleman or Johnny Wilson last year against Pitt. I know it was ugly, but here's what I like about Florida State. You know who Florida State is? They're LSU with a defense, in my opinion. Look at the way the team's made up. Jordan Travis and Jaden Daniels. Both guys can scramble, be very effective, throwing and running, right? Can beat you from the pocket, make good decisions, right? Have quick twitch. Offensive line, I would say LSU's offensive line is a little bit better than Florida State's, right? But Benson is a good back. They're able to run the ball. On the outside, who does LSU have? Brian Thomas Jr., right? Malik Neighbors. Well, look at FSU. Who do they got? Keon Coleman, Johnny Wilson, the Giraffe. LSU, Mason Taylor at tight end. Florida State, Jaheim Bell at tight end. This team is LSU with a defense, and it's a dadgum good defense, too. They're sticky in the back end. Jared Verse and these guys up front. It's Florida State up front. When I look at Miami, look, and I know it's a rivalry game, and I get it. I was born in the fires of the Iron Bowl, man. I know teams punch above their weight, but I'm looking at this Miami team right now. Tyler Van Dyke, last 2 games, 5 interceptions, no touchdowns. They're talking about putting a sophomore or a freshman in there. They're not going to do that on the road at Florida State unless, just somebody gets hurt or the games, there's no doubt left. I just don't see a way in which Miami goes into Tallahassee and scores enough points. Not that Miami's not good. I like Miami's defense. Mm-hmm. I think they're physical. I like Miami's young offensive line. Tyler Van Dyke isn't throwing interceptions because he's getting pressured every single play. Mm-hmm. He's making bad decisions. And I will take the team with better players that make smarter, more efficient decisions over the team with worse players that puts the ball in harm's way at the quarterback position. So I think Miami may fight them early, but I think Florida State, at the end of the day, they run with it.
So, Blaine, this was one of the biggest college football games of the season when I was growing up. Mm-hmm. Granted, I was a Florida State fan, but still, Miami-Florida State was always the matchup you wanted to check out. Hasn't meant that much in the college football landscape for the past decade plus. Now, all of a sudden, we have a Florida State team that's undefeated. Miami is taking a knee against Georgia Tech away from being 7-2. The game is in Tallahassee, but the spread's 14.5 right now. Over under 50.5. You were talking about, we saw what Tyler Van Dyke was able to do against Texas A&M, right? Early in the season, looked like he was playing better. You were talking about there were calls to put the freshman quarterback in.
Look, I got on Twitter and I saw a lot of Miami fans calling for the other guy at quarterback. And look, after Van Dyke's last couple of performances, I get it. You got to give the best player to give you the best chance to win. I haven't really watched the kid play, so I don't know. I don't know how much.
He hasn't really.
I don't know how much it's going to help against this football team. I think Florida State's a playoff football team. I think they're good enough to win the national championship. If you're Miami in this game, you're going to not only have to get to Jordan Travis, but you're going to have to get him on the ground. What's the health of Johnny Wilson? Trey Benson's a top 10 pick. Miami just has to get up for this football game, especially their secondary. If there's anything I like on this football team in Miami, is their secondary wants to hit you, and they want to hit you all the time. They play pretty good one-on-one coverage as well. We'll see in this game. I like Florida State. I like Florida State to cover when they didn't cover against Pitt. And what's the standard on Johnny Wilson? How healthy is he? Is he playing in this game? Because y'all remember, he's doing this. Jordan Travis is doing this without Johnny Wilson. You have Benson, who's a great player. You got pieces. But rivalry games are always weird, man. It's always weird. We saw it with Texas and Oklahoma. Guys get up for, teams will get up for this game. And I wouldn't be surprised. There's no way Van Dyke comes out and has another bad performance like he did the last couple of weeks. There's no way. I think he has, 4 interceptions and no touchdowns?
5 interceptions. But what makes you think that, though? Going to Florida State all of a sudden makes you play better?
It's a rivalry game. That's why I think it. I think guys get up for these games.
If it were in Miami, it'd be a lot more interesting because Florida State struggled with Boston College on the road. Pitt played them tight on the road. They're a little bit different in Tallahassee.
Look, I'm telling you right now, I'm afraid this number is going to go up. It's at 14.5 right now. Florida State's 14.5-point favorite. I like it at 13.5. Here's Emory Williams on the year. All right, is 36 of 48, 295 yards. He's got 1 touchdown. He's 1 interception, right? I don't think you can go into this game and sit here and say, all right, Emory Williams, here's Florida State. Here's one of the best teams in the country on the road. Go lead us to a win. I think you're playing with fire there. Now, if Van Dyke comes out and turns the ball over a couple times early, eventually you do got to make a move because you got to try and give your team some sort of a chance. But what worries me about Van Dyke, again, he is turning the ball over, and it's not like it is just bombs over Baghdad up front. Like, he's making bad decisions. As an old guy, he's making it earlier in the year, and maybe Texas A&M does this for you, right? And this is before he got beat up. He wasn't making these bad decisions. The only way I see Miami winning this game is if Florida State just totally plays the opposite the way they played and has an awful game, which can happen. You're dealing with 18 to 22-year-olds. Or the weather is awful. If I'm Miami, I am praying for rain. I am praying for a monsoon. I am praying for so much water on the field, I have to paddle my ass to the quarterback because that's the only way. Because I'm going to tell you how this game's going to go. I think Miami comes out and gets a couple stops early. I think this game is low scoring for about a quarter and a half, maybe a quarter and a half. But at some point, Florida State is going to figure it out because Jordan Travis and this offense is just too good not to figure it out. They're too experienced not to figure it out. And all this effort that Miami's going to give on defense to stop them in the first half, it's just going to chip at them and chip at them and chip at them. And the second half, it's going to snowball, and Florida State's going to win by 17 or more. That's the way I see this.
I just looked at the weather. It's going to be 70 and sunny.
Yeah,
70 and sunny. Tallahassee, Florida.
Yeah. But we say that. I mean, who knows? It's by the beach. I mean, if you're growing up by the beach, I mean, who the hell knows? It could be an ice storm and then a heat wave right after it.
Florida is weird. All right, let's preview a game. Another undefeated team out west, the only one out there undefeated, Washington Huskies 9-0. They're going to host Utah 7-2 this weekend. Utah's only loss is the 35-6 loss to Oregon and the 21-7 loss against Oregon State. Man, we watched all of the Washington USC game last weekend with a 52-42 shootout. Michael Penix looked like they got back on track after a few bad games after that Oregon win.
Yeah, it did. And if you look, I mean, this game, I think, obviously, you want every big game at home. I mean, I don't think that's any secret or we're breaking any ground here. But I do tell you, it is funny when you look at Washington, right? And you say, all right, what games have they struggled in? Most of them have been where? On the road, right? Outside of the USC game, as crazy as that sounds, the only one really at home that you're like, was against Arizona State. I think that was an anomaly. When I look at this Utah defense, I know a lot of people look and say, hey, this team can slow Washington down. This team defensively is not going to be intimidated by Washington. I disagree. Not that they're going to be intimidated, that they can slow them down. I think Michael Penix and these guys are in such a rhythm. I think that Utah offensively, even though they had a great performance last week, I know it's against Arizona State and they beat them to death at home, I don't think Utah can score enough. I think Utah could get a decent amount of stops in this game. I think Utah could punch way above their weight on defense and still lose this game by double digits because I don't think this Washington team that has an elite defense, it's a little bit like Ole Miss, but they're supercharged on offense. That's what this Washington team's a little bit like to me, right? I'm not shocked that they gave up 42 to USC. All right, giving up 33 to Stanford, that's not great, right? But that's on the road. I think this game against a ranked Utah team at home, I think Washington takes care of business. When you look at the spread, David, what's the spread on this?
So right now it's plus 9. Or -9 Washington.
-9. The over-under is 54.5.
Which I love the over.
Yeah, I don't think you're crazy taking the over. I got a feeling the Washington defense may step up this game, though, man. I just got kind of a sneaking suspicion. This may be one I kind of lay off of, but if I'm going to take it, I'd probably take Washington on the side at -9 because I think the discrepancy between the offenses is just too wide.
So this line, Blaine, is similar to what Utah's line was against Oregon, and I liked Utah to cover that. They most certainly did not. It was a 35-6 blowout for Oregon. We're talking about Washington defense bowing up this week. They still gave up 33 points to Stanford. They gave up 24 points to Arizona. Granted, those games were on the road, like Jake's saying. But do you like the 9 here or the 54.5?
Oh, I'm laying with Washington. I like the over, and I like Washington with the points here. I mean, Utah, you just don't have enough offensively. You just don't. Cam Rice is the man who defends the city. He's not going to be out there on Saturdays. He's just not. I think the Barnes kid is playing well, but you just not. Michael Penix is right now on a trajectory to win the Heisman.
Yeah, he is.
He really is. And the kid's only getting better and better and better and better. And he's looking, I think the last couple of weeks he had the flu, didn't look sick last week at all. So give me Washington. I'm going to take the over as well. The only way, like Utah, you're going to look at special teams in this game. And if you're Utah, how many times that you get into a 4th and 3, 4th and 2 situation, you're going to have to go for it throughout the game, and that can dig you into a hole. And if Utah starts playing catch-up against a Washington team, you're going to be in trouble, all right? Because these guys, it's a snowball effect, man. The more they just start, they know when the pressure is getting tight, and they just start pushing you and pushing you and pushing you, and that does what? It makes you kind of push yourself if you're an offense. And sometimes when you're trying too hard, you can do too much and too little of a situation. So give me Washington to cover and the points. I think this might be one of the best bets on the board.
Speaking of best bets on the board, I absolutely, whatever the Oregon TTP is against USC, and I'm probably going to take the over 2 at 73.5, even though I love Dan Lanning and what he does on defense. I think Oregon may score every time they get the ball. I wouldn't be shocked if Caleb Williams then put up a really good fight, try and come back and get a little bit of honor. I know a lot of people are thinking they're going to be down and not going to do anything, but it's going to be hard for me not to take everything I've ever made and put it on the Oregon TTP. I don't care what it is, because I think Bo Nix, trying to win the Heisman like he is with Michael Penix. They both got big games this weekend, right? You're going to get another shot at him, most likely in the Pac-12 championship game if it works out the way I think. I absolutely love the Oregon TTP. I love the over 73.5. And another one I love, South Carolina -14 at home against Vanderbilt. I know against Jacksonville State, South Carolina didn't look fantastic. You cannot lose against Vanderbilt. Shane knows they can't lose against Vanderbilt. I would buy this thing down to 13.5, and I would pound South Carolina this weekend. Vanderbilt's offensive line is so bad. South Carolina's front seven is going to look better. Juice Wells was running around a little bit this week. Do not be shocked at all if South Carolina comes out and drops Vanderbilt by 28 points.
On the Oregon TTP, is there any worry at all here that with Alex Grinch getting fired this week, those assistant coaches that have been promoted to co-defensive coordinators, that somehow galvanizes USC's defense? Or is it just a personnel problem that Oregon's going to run through all game?
I think most of it's a personnel problem, but I think a lot of those guys on the defense side of the ball know that Alex Grinch helped hire them too. And now that he's gone, they're really just filling an office space until either Dave Aranda gets fired from Baylor or Jim Leonard comes home or Lincoln Riley picks somebody else. I think this is USC just trying to get through it. Guys, not that they don't care anymore, but you kind of go through the motions. Offensively, obviously Lincoln's going to have a good plan. I legitimately think Oregon may score 60 points in this game.
Wouldn't shock me. Blaine, what are your best bets week 11?
Well, let's start here. I love Alabama minus 10.5 against Kentucky. And a lot of people are going to be like, well, it's on the road. It's a trap game. If Milroe plays anything close to the way he played last week, I'm telling you, Bama are going to start rolling kids. Devin Leary has played some of his best football the last couple of weeks.
Don't trust him.
I can see that, but I want to see that against an Alabama defense and a front seven that can get to you. That's what I really like. And Ohio State has who this week? Doesn't matter. Going to be a murder. 100%. And I love Michigan.
Michigan State.
Michigan, 33.5, I think. Yeah, great win last week, Michigan against Nebraska. Hey, you get father and son in the driveway.
Michigan State.
Michigan State, great win against Nebraska last week.
Yeah. You said Michigan. I was just saying.
Okay. But I also like Michigan minus 4.5 against Penn State.
I do too.
Roll them. Gonna absolute roll them. I mean, we talked about James Franklin, whole entire playbooks is the short pass section when you play NCAA football. That's what it is. Freak out in the third quarter.
It's not multiple or West Coast.
And just say hi, close his eyes, and throw it deep a couple plays. And even if Michigan didn't cover against Purdue last week, they played phenomenal. They looked great. Still a couple questions, maybe a little bit on defense, but I think Michigan's a lot better football team than what Penn State is.
Two things. How do we feel about the over under 44?
I like the over.
Penn State?
I don't want the over-under. I like Michigan minus 4.5, and it's not a night game. That's a big thing. This is a big new kickoff game. That affects the spread in this to me.
Well, let me ask you this, too. Do you think this game is going to get bet down a little bit more because it's at Penn State? It's at 4.5 right now. I think there's some value in waiting a couple days.
I do, too. Oh, you think it's going to go up?
You think it's going to go up?
I mean, it's 4.5 on DraftKings. Or I got bet up to 5.5 on other books. Michigan's going to get, public's going to lay Michigan. 100%.
I don't like it any more than where it is right now, to be honest. I mean, Penn State's going to be at home. They're going to get up for this game. J.J. McCarthy was a little inaccurate with the football last week. We saw that. Both Michigan needs this win in a big way because of all of the stuff surrounding the program right now. And even before all of these allegations with the advanced scouting, the narrative was, well, they don't play a tough schedule this year. This is one everyone had circled. You're going on the road to a Penn State team that's, what are they now, 7-1? Mm-hmm. You need to win this football game.
Two more that I like that are a group of five. I like James Madison, UConn over 48.5 because I think James Madison may score 60 points in this game. You watch what Tennessee did to UConn last week. UConn defensively is awful. I think UConn can score a couple touchdowns in this game against James Madison. I know that James Madison just had a big injury. I think it was their running back, but I love McLeod, their quarterback. I like the over 48.5. And then Memphis, love them minus 11 over Charlotte. Charlotte couldn't score against a group of blind kids. Memphis right now on offense is absolutely lighting up the scoreboard. I like Hennigan. I like Silverfield over there. Give me Memphis minus 11 at Charlotte, even though Biff Poggi may be one of the best names I've ever heard in the history of college football.
What about, you talking about Alabama, Kentucky, what about the under in that game, 47.5? That's one that I like. I put that one down.
I just
get worried about games like that if Alabama just freaks out on offense.
Yeah.
But even if they do, they're going to get to a point where they'd want to run the ball if they're up a lot, and Kentucky wants to run the ball.
Well, what scares me is Devin Leary makes, I just don't trust Devin Leary to not throw a couple pick sixes get that strip.
That could be a good point. That could be a good point. Iowa Rutgers under is at 29.
Dude.
Good. Love it.
It's at 29.
Take the under.
And I'm still going to take it.
Yeah.
I hit it last week.
Yeah, you should. I told even Reed, my wife was like, what? What do you mean 29?
Louisville UVA under 50 minus 108. The way the Louisville defense has been playing.
Dude, I know what's the side on that? What's the side? Because man, Louisville right now, they covered for me last week. It wasn't even close. That was like stealing.
20.5.
20.5 is what it is
in that game.
Virginia
that just feels like a game I won't touch.
Virginia's a weird team. I mean, on Friday, I tell you another good one. North Texas and SMU. that over 67.5. These are two offenses. I know North Texas and UTSA didn't hit the 71.5 last week. I watched SMU score like 50 points at halftime.
56 at halftime.
Yeah, Rhett Lashley's letting the dog eat.
Yeah, he is.
I love if Jane Daniels is playing the over/under in the Florida game.
I gotta wait.
Is he
to see that
playing?
one.
62.5.
Yeah.
Hell, even if the Nuss Bus is in there, I'll probably take the over as well.
What about Auburn money line at
Not
Arkansas?
touching.
Plus 130.
I would take Arkansas.
Money line.
The way Auburn's
you're
playing.
not.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, well, look, I don't trust. It's hard for me to still trust Peyton Thorne on the road because, while Arkansas isn't great, they're way better than Vanderbilt.
What about Oklahoma State money line, minus 135? They got UCF on the road.
That's what freaks
I
me
believe
out.
they have UCF on the road.
Gus always flukes up.
Is this an over?
Is this a letdown after Bedlam?
Is this an
It
over?
feels like it, right? It feels like, we did what we needed to do. I think
But
Gus runs 13 reverses.
They're 7-2. They could play in the Big 12 championship game.
I mean, look, Gus always does this though, man.
He does.
Like it's so up and down. What do we think about that Wisconsin Northwestern over under 42.5?
Under. Don't have to
Under,
look at it.
right?
Under.
It has a
to
4 in
look
front of
at
it.
it.
I'm taking the under.
Clemson.
Hell, it may be 4.5. I'd still take the under. The way it's going now with Wisconsin and then Northwestern, and watched them score like that. It was like the 9th highest scoring game at Wrigley this year with Northwestern and Iowa last week.
That's a stat that I wanted to pull
Got
up.
outscored by like the Marlins.
Yeah, there was like 9 baseball games at Wrigley Field or something
Yeah.
that had a higher score than the football game.
We want to know, what's your best bet? Tell us your best bet in the comments, in the chat as well. But I can tell you the best bet when it comes to coffee. That's Black Rifle Coffee. All right, everybody knows we drink it. We know you don't always have time to brew your coffee the traditional way. That's why they have their ready-to-drink cans. It's that Josh Heupel up-tempo offense. They're perfect for people who need their coffee quickly. Listen to these flavors. Vanilla Bomb, explosion of flavor. Salted caramel, yes. Mocha, of course. And vanilla caramel, please pour it all over me. Black Rifle Coffee is a veteran-founded coffee company that's operated by principal men and women who honor those who protect, defend, and support our country. And with every purchase you make, they give back. So stop running out of coffee, all right, and sign up for a coffee club subscription to have it delivered straight to your door on a schedule. So save money and drink America's coffee. Go to blackriflecoffee.com. Use our promo code BOOSTER at checkout, and you get 10% off your one-time purchase, our first coffee club order. That's blackriflecoffee.com. Use our promo code BOOSTER for 10% off. You can also find it in grocery and convenience stores near you, but we know deep down you want to go to blackriflecoffee.com and use that promo code BOOSTER. What flavors you got over there, Blonnier?
Man, I got a gunship. I got a power llama with the
Love it.
machine gun on it.
David, what do you got over there?
Headless Horseman's Roast,
Ichabod.
Cousin Ichabod.
Pot of
It's
the
always,
fan.
it's always Halloween.
BR, set us some cans, man. Put it on set.
Oh, yeah, get some of those ready to drink. Shoot, I'll drink one live on
Hell
the show.
yeah.
Say I won't. All right, speaking about live on the show, let's get to the chat.
All right, let's go to some donations here. We're going to kind of track back a little bit.
Yeah, we've had a lot of games to get to.
It's been a minute. Let's go to Jake's Extra Strong Cologne with a $2 donation.
There he is.
Smelling good, especially with that jean jacket on. I know you love that. Says, are we witnessing Lane's Kiffin peak at Ole Miss?
Well, I think this is one of the reasons why Ole Miss is such a great destination for Lane Kiffin. Is because every 3 to 4 years you have this kind of pop where you're able to go win 10. We saw what he did with Matt Corral, but the way they're going about this one's a little bit different. Like, this isn't just a high-flying offense. Let's just try and just hold the line defensively. I think they can set the tone a little bit on defense. I think this is a little bit of a different flavor and maybe a sign that Lane Kiffin is building something a little more physical, a little more balanced, which kind of separates him from, I don't know, maybe Lincoln Riley, even though I know USC and Ole Miss are two different places. I like Lane Kiffin. I think Lane Kiffin has the ability to grow as a head coach. I think this is why it's the perfect fit. You go have a big year this year. Who knows how it's going to end? Kind of buys you a little more equity to maybe take a step back for a year. Not really 2, but take a step back for a year and then get back to building.
Let's go to Tyler Jarvis with a $10 donation. T-Jar, appreciate it, brother. He says, Dear Lord, can somebody come fix turnover Van Dyke at Miami?
Bad.
David Michigan, got any eligibility left? Here's the FSU beating us by 100. Go Canes. Somebody kill me, please.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's bad. Like, if you've watched it, it's bad. Every turnover is not created equally, right? Some are just egregious. Some are unfortunate.
Quarterback's fault.
Again, Van Dyke is legitimately just throwing it to the other team at this point.
But it wasn't bad for a while. It wasn't bad there.
Yeah, but then
and even bounced back after the Georgia Tech debacle, and you played North Carolina close, then beat Clemson.
Then you had
to beat Virginia in overtime. Not a great look.
Got a dog.
And then 20-6 against North Carolina State.
Yeah. It's not good.
It's a tough situation. All right, let's go to Jason V with a $5 donation. Jason, thank you, sir. It's a great show, guys. Appreciate it, Jason. He says, compared the sack this year to the penalty Florida got last year on the LSU QB. I believe he's talking about Dallas Turner. And what are our thoughts on the LSU-Florida game this weekend?
Yeah, I think he's comparing an LSU hit to the one that Dallas Turner had last week and saying, well, if he's a dirty player, then that must make him a dirty player. Compare what? What was the second part of that? Sorry.
What's our thoughts on the LSU and Florida game this week?
Well, you got to see Jaden Daniels' health, but the best part about this for LSU, if there is a best part, Silver Linings playbook, is you got a guy in Nussmeier that can come in and operate the offense. Now, not to the level of Jaden Daniels. I don't know if there's a person on the planet in college football right now that can operate this on the level that Jaden Daniels has, but you have built-in weapons around you. You have a good run game. How does Florida bounce back from the Arkansas game? Well, you got a great opportunity to go beat LSU on the road. Do I think they'll do it? No, I don't. I do like the over in this game, Blaine. The more I think about it, it was 63.5 is what you said?
63.5, man. I just don't feel like that's enough.
Even without Jaden Daniels. Like, with Jaden Daniels? Yeah, please. Thank you. But when it comes to Florida, Billy, I think they have the ability to bounce back. We saw him bounce back after Utah. We've seen him bounce back multiple times, but we've also seen him fall flat on their face. I don't trust Florida on the road. That's the problem, right? They've had one good showing on the road. Outside of that, it's been bad.
Let's go to Taylor Russell. What's up, Taylor? He says, Miami giving away free tickets to fans and still can't sell out. It's a poverty program. They're always on the road.
Yeah, it's sad, man. It really is sad, especially, when you see what Florida State's doing and what this could mean if Miami could pull this upset off. It's one thing, and I talked about this with Oklahoma State, it's one thing to, keep yourself in the running for a conference championship and possibly a national championship. It's another thing, if you're kind of out of the running, to ruin it for your arch rival. That carries a lot of weight. You have that opportunity. Now, it is at Florida State this week. He's talking about the other games that Miami plays at home. But yeah, it's one of the biggest problems with Miami is that they're very, when it's going good, I don't want to call their fan base front runners, but not all of them. But when they're going good, it's good.
Well, it's just like Miami.
It's not elite.
Same type of place, man. It's just Miami's all. It's Hollywood. That's what it is.
Hollywood of the South.
Yeah, they don't care about football anymore. They care about flag.
Well, there's a lot.
Like Miami used to be like, hey, we're here. Like, look, come outside, dog. We're gonna find out.
Well, I think Miami's
now. It's talk to my lawyer.
Yeah. Well, you look at how many teams are in that state. Number one, but number two, I think there's a lot more people that are like, hey, I'm going to the Dolphins game on Sunday than hey, I'm going to the Canes game on Saturday. Now, if Miami starts cooking, like really starts cooking, that place will start. It'll start getting going. But it's just sad they don't have that consistent, And we've said this about other schools. It's not just Miami, but there's a lot to do.
Let's go to Peyton Fitzgerald with a $10 donation. Appreciate it, Peyton. Do you know Larry? That's the real question. Morning, gentlemen. Morning to you, sir. Been a while since I've tuned into the live show because of work. No excuses, play like a champion. Hoping I can call him for the first time today. We'll see. From this past weekend, what game tells us the most about the CFPs?
Well, I think Alabama's scary as hell if they keep tailoring the offense to Jalen Milroe, finally. Again, I feel like they can beat any team in the country if they do that. I think a lot of it, what it tells you is, I want to go back to Florida State a little bit. It was ugly against Pitt. You don't have Keon Coleman, you don't have Johnny Wilson, but you find a way to win. There's something about this Florida State team. There's just something about them. Like, it just gritty, man. Like, they know how to win. It's like they're kind of grimy. It's not flash and sizzle. They make some highlight plays.
They do both. That's what
Keon Coleman makes some plays. You're like, what?
Right
but
now.
Yeah, they're just like grimy, man, and I love it.
Ugly games.
Like, they'll bring you roses. They'll romance you a little bit, and sometimes they'll be like, "Hey, shut up, sit down, I'm talking."
Yeah, and two, I think Texas surviving. I don't think maybe we've talked about that enough. At some point when you don't have your quarterback, or even when you do, right, you've got to survive these games. They survived that game against Kansas State, go on the road against a TCU team that I don't trust as far as I can throw them. Malik Murphy made some mistakes that you think from a new quarterback that's trying to do too much, but you're able to get through it. Man, I can't believe Kansas State went for that. I can't believe they went for it from the 4. From the 1, I understand it. You're going to go push Will Howard's big ass in there? Go do it. From the 5? Nah. Because you had the momentum.
Yeah.
You just kicked Texas' ass on defense, held on that field goal where Bert Auburn one of the greatest names I ever heard in my life, made the field goal. No, man, that was wild. But all right, you want to get to calls?
Let's do it. We got Will in Auburn. Let's see what Will has to say.
God,
Will.
How's it going, guys? Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Will, what's up, buddy? How's it going?
How's it going, guys? So, Auburn student, obviously got an Auburn question for y'all.
Yeah.
So, first half of the season, we saw the two-quarterback rotation between Peyton Thorne and Robbie Ashford. And then over the past 2 games, it seems like Peyton Thorne has really taken the reins. Now, obviously, Mississippi State and Vanderbilt aren't exactly tearing through the ACC, but it's still been something to see how it's going. I think Robbie's only had maybe 2 snaps in these past 2 games. So my question is, it's a 2-parter. One, do we think that this is going to be the norm for the rest of the season, that Peyton's really going to run the show? And 2, if that happens, do y'all think that Robbie's going to stick around at Auburn? Because the fan base really loves him, but if he's not going to get any playing time, it would make sense to go somewhere else.
Well, look, you want to build continuity, right? You want to have continuity everywhere, including at the quarterback position. But if you look at the way Auburn started out the year, I thought they were using Robbie Ashford perfectly in those short yardage situations, in those red zone situations. He's a weapon, right, that you can use. You just can't put him out there and rotate him and Peyton Thorne series for series, because nobody builds any chemistry on that. Now, we've kind of seen that gone down. What's one reason for that? Well, I don't think it's a coincidence that Auburn is finally playing some teams that Auburn has a better roster than, that Auburn has better personnel than. Then you look at kind of the way Peyton Thorne ran against Georgia, that gives you a little bit of hope. But I think at this point, Hugh Freeze feels like the offense operates better when Peyton Thorne is taking 90% of the snaps. I still think you'll see Robbie in there for a couple plays against Bama in short yardage, maybe a trick play or 2 here, because if you look at the rest of this schedule, even against Arkansas, I wouldn't be shocked at all. But I think Auburn's roster matches up pretty decently with Arkansas's, and you're going to see kind of the same flavor. Where I think you're going to see more of Robbie is against Bama. I think they're going to have gadget plays built in for him. I think they're going to have trick plays built in for him. Why? Because Alabama's roster is so much better than Auburn. Auburn's going to have to find a way to kind of witch their way through this, especially when they get in the red zone. But I think they've settled on Peyton Thorne. Thought it was good to see him bounce back from that pick 6. Very interested, though, Will, right? We remember seeing Peyton Thorne on the road against Cal. Didn't look great. Against A&M on the road. Didn't look great. Against LSU on the road. Didn't look great. You go to Vanderbilt, look a little bit better, right? That's Vanderbilt. Now, Arkansas, that's another step up. I think we're going to find out a lot more about if Peyton Thorne can be the guy next year, about how he plays against Arkansas. That's what I think.
Appreciate it, Will.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, appreciate it, Will.
See ya. All right, let's go to Hunter in Arkansas. Hunter, what's up?
Boo.
Well, I wasn't going to talk about the Auburn-Arkansas game. Lord.
Yeah.
That's like
Cripple fight.
That's like 2 dumpsters on fire.
It's a battle of the man.
All right. But I want to talk about last week, Bedlam. I called last week, was talking all the ish. I said Oklahoma State was going to win. I got the Oklahoma score right. I just didn't get Oklahoma State's score right, but we still won.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what a way to send off OU.
No, look, again, I mean, that's why I let up a show with it one day. I mean, what a better way. This is the golden opportunity. What did Rick Moranis say on Little Giants? It's always that one time. We were racing on Cherry Hill.
He did say that.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Don't
Oklahoma
act like you
blew
haven't
it.
seen Little Giants.
Huh?
You've seen Little
Yeah, I've seen Little Giants. I just don't remember that part.
Yeah.
To be honest.
His brother, Danny O'Shea.
So you called the Oklahoma score. You just didn't call the Oklahoma State score.
Yeah.
Well, if you did that, then people are going to show up to your
close.
house, buddy. So I'd be really wary of what you guess out there. I mean, he wants guys in suits showing up at your house.
Yeah, and you got Paul.
I mean,
You don't want Paul showing up.
No.
that's true. But, I mean, how about that Florida-Arkansas game, too? I mean, that was a better game than I expected.
Yeah, I mean, Arkansas jumped them early. You got that turnover, and then Florida got back in it real quick, had those 2 big punt returns, were able to score. Yeah, I mean, you got to make a field goal at the end, man. Like, it shouldn't have came down to that, though. But it's just that's the SEC. That's a bad loss for Billy in Florida. That's a bad loss. That's when you kind of needed, right? Everybody was starting
Needed that one.
especially against Georgia, they kind of forgave you, whatever. That one at home, that's an ugly one, Hunter. Who you got this weekend, Auburn or Arkansas?
What time is the game?
It's 2:30 game, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah.
It's not 11. I asked the same thing.
Okay, if if it's 2:30, I got to be realistic. I think it's going to be Auburn.
Yeah, 11 o'clock. It's Arkansas, 100%.
I think it's going to be close, and I just think it's going to be who sucks worse.
Yeah,
is determining who's going to win that game.
Well, I still have
analysis.
PTSD from Arkansas playing Auburn at 11 o'clock on Jefferson Pilot Sports. So I still see Fred Talley running up and down in my sleep. So we'll see. It should be interesting, Hunter.
Appreciate it, Hunter.
Appreciate it, Hunt.
All right, let's go to Justin in Pensacola. Justin, what's up?
Pensacola.
All right, Jake. This is the rant that's going to be heard around the world.
Oh, God.
Oh, Justin, okay. You got through today. Good.
Okay. So Alabama fans get a bad name. You know, bandwagon fans. We have to deal with the live while they're here, die while they're not. Well, if there's one person on this planet who likes to piss off Alabama fans more than anybody, it has to be y'all's friend Timmy B. Timmy B. It feels like he wakes up in the morning, things are going great, and then he sees an Alabama sign, and immediately the day is ruined, and he has to make sure that everybody knows about it. You know?
Yeah.
He goes on to say that LSU is going to end up dominating in the second half. The offense is too much. That falls flat. Regardless, Jaden Daniels, it was already a 14-point lead when he goes out. Come in Sunday, I read an article. I can't remember where it was. It may be false, but it states that Timmy B says that regardless, somebody along the line will expose Alabama and shut down what they have. It's just, it's always something with Mr. Timmy.
Well, I'll say this. Love him or hate him, Timmy B, I actually says what he thinks. And again, you can like it, you can not, and again, that's kind of part of it, right? Dissent moves us forward. We don't want to always agree on everything. That would suck. But Timmy B, you know, again, he does live in the Chateau. Chateau Brando. There's not a lot of Alabama love in the Chateau Brando, but I will say this. Timmy B did come out and I believe say that he didn't think Dallas Turner was a dirty player as well. So like I think he does err a little bit more on the side of grievance against Alabama, but he honestly believes that. And I do got to give him credit. He's called a lot of stuff that's happened this year too as well.
Oh yeah, he definitely calls it like I see it, and I respect him. It's just like you said, it must be that Chateau blood coming out, you know.
That elitist blood.
Hey, no, that's
blood.
I was there Saturday night. Bryant Denny is just, and it's not even a homer. It's unbelievable.
It's incredible,
Light,
man.
The crowd. I mean, you would think a guy like Jane Daniels, they wouldn't get to him. I mean, on some of them, he was running like he couldn't run anymore.
Yeah.
And on some, it looked like he was rattled. So.
Yeah.
Well, it's
all those people from New Jersey and Bryant Denny.
Well, I'll say this. You know what I feel like we should do, Justin? I feel like we should take all the leaders of NATO and just, y'all need to come see this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like the Germans. Yeah. It was good. They saw our NFL guys running around, so, you know, they can just understand. I feel like we need to take oh, hey, Zelensky, let's, why don't you come down to a Bama game or an Auburn game and let's just show you what 100,000 people freaking out about a game.
I just don't know why
this is one town.
I still don't know why we just don't send Dallas Turner to Ukraine.
Wait, look.
So, Justin,
I say we send the Olympic Committee to Tuscaloosa and say, this is our young guys. Imagine Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Hey, Justin, quickly, on that hit from Dallas Turner on Jaden Daniels, when you were watching it live in Bryant Denny, did it strike you as being sort of any sort of like dirty or late hit or targeting, or is most of this just because it was a hit that knocked Jaden Daniels out, so it's going to get more attention?
I was in the end zone where it happened at, so I had a clear view of it. In person, to me, you could tell that I thought it should have been targeting, personally.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what made it worse was him laying on top of it, because if anybody remembers, it is picture perfect the same way Quinn Ewers goes out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so,
which, I mean...
Alabama fan,
yeah.
I mean, I agree that there should have been a call made, yes. Do I think it's dirty? No. But I'm also came up with you guys. So, I mean, this day and age of college football, can't do it.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot less get called.
10, 12 years ago.
Oh,
you know,
for sure.
I've seen people get up and stand over the top of you. when you do that, and nothing's ever called. So,
Yeah, well, like, I think there's a difference. I think that was targeting. I think that should have been a targeting penalty. I think Dallas Turner should have been ejected from the game. But I don't think it was a dirty hit. I don't think he literally on the way there was like, I am going to make a dirty play on the quarterback. I think he saw a chance to finally hit Jaden Daniels, who had run circles around them. To finally, and again, you go back to Quinn Ewers 2 years ago, like, because nobody hit Quinn Ewers this year against Texas Alabama. You go back to that.
thing is he's a joystick, man. Watching him run, it's like he doesn't cut and juke. It's a joystick run around. Like, it literally looked like kids chasing another kid on a playground.
Yeah,
It just a lot dirtier for a D lineman to go after a QB's knees.
For sure.
Right? To dive after a QB's knees than just, didn't accidentally.
If you want to sit here and tell me that Nick Fairley made a dirty play on Aaron Murray going low on an Auburn Georgia game, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can have a conversation.
We can talk about that. But to me, you getting a chance to put the quarterback on his ass and square him up, I didn't think it had malintent behind it. But
Appreciate it, Justin.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you, man. All right, let's go to Trey in Atlanta. Trey, what's going on?
Trey?
What a perfect segue. So, two quick things here. Number one, I hate that we call this LSU-Alabama game a rivalry, because when we beat them pretty much every year, it's not a rivalry. It's not even a game, really. It is a game, right? But, like, you win 2 out of the last 12. Congratulations. Your little brother, get back in the kitchen, make me a sandwich, okay?
Ooh,
but the real reason why I'm calling is because I disagree. I don't think it was targeting. It was absolutely roughing the passer, but I get watching it. If you're there live, you don't get to see it again and again, but I watched this thing over and over again, and while I think the hit was high, it was face mask in the chest. All right, so this whole launching thing, this whole the only way is if you say the defenseless player aspect of it. Yes. Then we start looking at that aspect. But everyone that's been arguing this targeting thing has been, he led with the crown of his helmet and hit him in the head.
He didn't lead with the crown.
He didn't lead with the crown.
No, but you can launch and not lead with the crown.
And that's what makes this so tough. So, Trey, your take on this is what I saw, and which shows you how convoluted the rule is, because you got guys here who watch football all day long. This is what we do for a living, and we still can't agree on whether or not this was targeting. And when you have the rule is you can't lead with the crown of the helmet, or you can't launch upward with your body,
or
you
can't blink twice before you hit them.
There's so many different. It's like a Rubik's cube where you're trying to piece it together on what can constitute or not constitute targeting.
The thing that I've been seeing is, he ended up hitting him in the head. But to me, you need to differentiate where the initial contact is. If the initial contact is to the head or neck area, it's targeting. But when Dallas Turner hit him, he hit him in between the pecs, maybe on the upper part, right? Dead in the chest. And then as he was going down, let's talk about physics and gravity, he slid up on Daniels because Daniels was going down, and his momentum is taking him up. So, of course, it's going to hit him in the bottom of the chin eventually and take him down. I agree with you. It's 100% roughing the passer, because he took him to the ground.
On the back
end. His arms pinned. Yeah, and then he ended up getting a concussion because his arms are pinned. That's a dangerous hit.
And that's what got called, right? Isn't that what got called?
Nothing got called. Nothing got called. Here's the thing, though. Isn't this why we... Yeah, isn't this why... Isn't this why we made targeting reviewable and you be able to take the targeting away? But to me, here's the thing, and we can, look, I think there's a logical argument for it not to be targeting, to be honest, but I'm a defensive guy, Trey, so you're going to have a lot easier time convincing me. But what I saw, and I'm not looking at it right now, I need to go look at it again, I've watched it a million times, I feel like, is that it did look like he launched and made contact with the head or neck area
first.
That's not saying that he went face mask to face mask, because he didn't. But I think he was almost at maybe the most bottom you can be for it to be head or neck area. But I guess maybe the motion of it sliding up made it look even more like it was in the head to neck area. I don't want to see a guy get thrown out of the game, because I don't think it was a dirty play.
Yeah, they called roughing the passer.
They did call roughing the passer. For some reason.
Yeah, they did. Because it was an automatic first down for them.
Gotcha.
It was third down, I think, yeah.
We've watched enough college football games where that's targeting.
Well, my thing is, I don't think
it is.
If my hand...
I don't think the one on Shiloh Sanders a couple weeks ago was targeting either.
I don't think that was targeting.
And that was a way more vicious hit with a defenseless
But we've
receiver.
seen way less get called for targeting.
Exactly.
If we're going to go, he hit the head and neck area first, all right? He launched and came down.
You have to launch to tackle a guy. You have to launch your body to tackle a guy, or else you're never going to make the tackle. So what are we talking about launching? Like you have to launch up into his chin or like launch up into the side of his helmet.
If you launch into a player's head or neck area, that's targeting.
Or do you have to launch with the crown of your helmet?
No.
Like that's what I've been told.
See,
like, I think the crown of your helmet. There's so many different things here where does the guy have to be defenseless if it's in the head or the neck area?
Well, there's 9 different ways to get targeted, like you're saying.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
Many.
To me, you cannot launch and use the crown of your helmet, and they're going to call targeting. Like you can just put your head down like this,
which
and they
happens
will
in the hole every play.
Every single
between
play.
a Mike linebacker and a running back. You could call helmet to helmet.
Agree 100%.
Targeting every single play.
Trey, here's the last thing I'll say about it, and we'll get this is a great call. If they care so much about player safety and targeting, why is it never called on the running back when they lower the crown of their helmet?
I agree. I agree. It should be called on an offensive player. And just real quick, 2 more things. Number one, the review booth had time to look at that. There was an extended period of time, so there wasn't an excuse that the play went on. So they had time to look at it. Number two,
agree with that.
LSU has now submitted a claim to the SEC office. So if it is targeting, they're going to review it, and they could suspend him for the next game. So either way, it's going to get resolved. But to me, it's like they had like 5 minutes to look at it. Do you think their officials are not going to want to call targeting if it is? They've been as Blaine's been saying, they jump at a chance to call targeting. So to me, if it was, they would have called it. But hey, I'm a Alabama fan, so maybe I'm biased. But I try.
Well, you're going to see it. You're going to see it through the prism.
We don't know what
of
targeting is. We don't know what roughing the passer is. Like sooner or later, even. Well, I mean, what do we really know? I can't tell you what pass interference is. Hell, I can barely tell you what holding is.
Well, it's like I can't tell you what a travel or a charge is in basketball, or a charge or a block. So, I mean, it just sometimes it'd be like that. But, Trey, thanks, buddy. Great call.
Appreciate it, Trey. We appreciate the insight, man. Hold down Atlanta for us, our old stomping ground. Steve in Ohio, what's going on, man?
Hey.
What's up, Steve?
Buddy?
I can't wait to see what you guys do when you unveil the sign.
Oh, I know. We got it coming. We got it coming.
Be more like Steve.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, now, I may be one of the very few Buckeye fans to say this, but I am tired of the Michigan cheating scandal.
That's because you love college football, Steve.
Yeah.
Well, and here's my take on it. Let's say Ohio State goes to the Big House this season and they lose. Not saying it's going to happen, but if it does, they have a built-in excuse as to why they lost.
Oh, everybody's going to be making it.
No, you don't have a built-in excuse. Like, how do you think they're still stealing signs after all this?
Oh, no, they'll say it.
There's no way.
Knowing Ryan Day, he'll blame it on it for sure. It couldn't be Ryan Day.
No one goes and commits a crime by the FBI. You know the FBI is watching you. Nobody does that.
That might be the best.
It was about an excuse.
No, I agree with Steve. I think Ohio State fans will still use that as an excuse when they go lose in the Big House. I think they're going to lose in the Big House.
Okay, and let me say this: you know what the maximum effective range for an excuse is?
What?
0 meters.
Yes, 100%, Steve.
We love you, Steve. Hey, we're going to unveil that sign soon, brother.
Hoorah! Thanks, guys.
Hoorah!
Hey, appreciate it, Steve.
See ya. All right, let's go to Matthew in Arkansas. Matthew, what's up, man?
What's up, guys? Heartbroken Hog here.
Not this week.
I was having an awesome day Saturday until I tuned into your guys' live show. And Jake, you got to poo-poo Arkansas's win, saying this might have been the worst thing to happen.
Yes, I honestly.
Thinking?
Again,
I understand your point, but I believe we had a Dan Enos problem in that game. It was the first time we had over 4 yards of carry against an SEC opponent.
Can I ask you this though?
Kenny Guyton might be the guy.
Can I ask you this? Well, the name Guy isn't his last name. What did y'all have a Kendall Briles problem before this? Like y'all were having y'all having
problems in the red zone. In the red zone.
That's where that's where the OCs get paid. Here's what I'm telling you, and I hope I'm rooting for Sam Pittman, dog. I will be there with you. I'll wrap myself in bacon and call the Hogs with you for Sam Pittman. I'm a big Sam Pittman guy. But what happens? Y'all lose to Auburn this weekend. What happens then? All those
if we
happy
come out and
feelings
all the-
turn into sad feelings.
Yeah,
You're not ready for this,
it's
Dewey.
a week-to-week sport. You know how it is, boys.
Yeah,
We
it
come out,
is.
We lose 13-10. It's going to be like, all right, fire everybody.
Yeah, I mean, like Kenny Guyton, shoot him into the sun. But no, we'll see. We'll see, Matthew. It ought to be interesting.
All right, love y'all. Have a good one.
Love you,
See ya, buddy.
Appreciate it, Matthew. Thanks, man. All right, Voltar, last one today. Voltar, what's up?
Hey, guys, how's it going?
What's
What is up, man? Long time no see.
Hey, right. But I just wanted to talk about the tailgate and some of the bets I hit this week. And
Yeah.
I just gotta say, y'all were really more humble in person than on the show, and that I just wanted to thank y'all again for coming out. It was a
Thank
lot
you.
of fun.
Man, thank
And
you
hell,
guys.
Now, yeah, no problem. And hell, now I'm even friends with PJ. Like now
Yeah.
I think she's cool.
Yeah.
Now you're
You know.
legitimate, dude.
Now you're in. Now we put the card in your hand and set it on fire.
Right. So these bets, I'll get to bets, and then one thing Texas Ed told me at Dave & Buster's. But the bets that I hit, I placed these bets when I woke up Saturday morning.
Mm.
I had 150 in free play on FanDuel. I could barely see because I wear contacts, and I was making these bets.
That's how it
And
happens.
I somehow managed to make three parlays that hit on FanDuel.
Wow.
And
I see
at the
you,
end of the
Josh.
weekend, I had 350 in free play in total, and I had $535 to withdraw. So I definitely took the bag home. So, yeah.
Stay high.
Man, that's crazy, Josh. I don't see no donations on the screen.
I see a $525 donation.
Hey, who'd you give to help look at the bets? Your boy over here. Come on now.
No, dude,
That
congrats,
is
dog.
true. That is true. And I will say, two of the parlays I wasn't able to witness because after halftime of the LSU and Washington game, I took a nap and I woke up, looked at FanDuel, and saw like plus 300. And then
Isn't
I
that
saw I
beautiful?
won the
It's just the
parlay.
greatest.
And the last leg was Arizona, and I got to watch the last leg hit.
Oh,
and
isn't that
I
the
had
best?
no problems with it. It was
God.
the best feeling. And last thing, Texas said, I think this auction's still going on for a signed Hendon Hooker Tennessee helmet, and it was Friday night. The silent auction ends Tuesday. The minimum bet was $350, but to instant buy it was $460, and I couldn't bring myself to buy it, so I just bought a Tennessee Columbia shirt.
Hey, look, save
we'll
that
get hand
cake.
in a text. We'll
Yeah.
get something figured out.
Yeah. Save that cake.
All
The
right.
economy's not great right now. But Voltar, appreciate you, buddy. It was great to meet you.
Thanks, man. Thanks, everybody,
All right.
for calling in today.
My legs asleep again. Blaine, what's going on over there as I walk over here?
All right, let's get to the chat. Let's go to Austin Hatch with a $10 donation. Austin, appreciate it. Big dog. He says, my son's second grade football team, Hoover, Alabama, is undefeated going to the championship game this Thursday. Crain, can we give him a quick motivational speech?
Second grade football team?
Second grade football team, Hoover, Alabama, undefeated.
All right, play it. What's his son's name?
Derek.
Hoover. That's my dad's old stopping ground. It was
Barry,
called
baby.
Barry back then. Second grade? Still tailor-made. Got a big one this week. Hoover's known for having success in football, even though not a lot lately. Maybe you're going to be the class that builds that back up. You know how you start doing that? With championships, with rings. It's just like an Olympic flag out there. Or maybe you're from the Shire, all right? But you're not walking in the mortar this weekend. It's only second grade. Y'all should big dog them. Congratulations. Go get that dub. And remember,
Let's go to Devin 21. Good job.
Let's
Good
go,
job.
Hoover.
Hashtag Ask Cranico. Does a two-loss Bama get into the playoff if they win the SEC
No.
championship? Jake picked Auburn to beat him at the end of the season.
Yep.
Unless that has changed.
no, I'm still
Not gonna
sticking with it
happen.
right now.
Not going to happen at all?
It's not going to happen. Even a one-loss
No,
Bama.
I'm going to tell you what's going to happen.
Even a one-loss Bama, if a one-loss Bama is up against a one-loss Texas for the fourth spot,
Yep,
not for the
Texas
third spot,
gotta be-
for the fourth spot, they're going to have to pick Texas with the road head-to-head.
But didn't
win.
they put Texas in front of Oklahoma?
Yeah, but
this
like
past-
if we're talking about at the end.
Wait,
when
the
it-
next one comes out tonight, right?
Yeah, comes out tonight. We'll talk about it tomorrow.
All right, let's get to Spy Guy 024. He said he tried to call in but didn't make it through. Man, keep trying it. We'll get you in next time. Georgia will go undefeated. yet again because they have not proven that they can lose. I'm a Minnesota fan, so I have no dog in this fight. But I see the writing on the wall with Brock Bowers, who can beat Georgia.
I mean, even the way they're playing without him right now, I mean, we'll see. We'll continue to see. All right, I'll get to donations in a minute. Bets tonight. 2-0 in college basketball yesterday. You know what that makes me, David?
Oh, I don't have the...
Oh, you don't have it?
Today.
It makes
you
me
happy.
So I'm going to stick with it again tonight. Shout out to Villanova. Absolutely crushed American. And then USC. Moneyline against Kansas State and Jerome Tang. I just love saying that because I can. And tonight, give me Maryland. -20 at home. And then give me St. John's -18. My second favorite John's. First one, Papa. Jimmy. Oh.
No.
Not better than Papa John's.
I don't know, man. God, I didn't even think about that.
Wait, are we talking about Papa John's versus Jimmy John's?
Yeah.
It's not even close.
Papa John's.
Papa John's.
I don't know,
Papa John's
man.
with the garlic crust. All right. Central Michigan, money line, +124. Who was it in the chat the other day that was talking about the Central Michigan versus Western Michigan?
It's probably
We're
Dom.
taking a bet.
Dom usually throws out.
Well, I'm riding with him. Central Michigan. Let's go. And then I want Ohio, that's the Bobcats, not the Buckeyes, -6.5, -130.
All right, I'm going Ohio and the Buffs. Give me that over at 43.5, -115. I love taking over in this game. And give me Balls Taint versus Northern Illinois.
Who?
Over Balls Taint. Am I saying that wrong?
Ball State.
Balls Taint, yeah.
Ball State?
That's what I'm saying. Smorgasbords, Balls Taint. Like, what do you mean? Northern Illinois over 43.5. That's going off at 30 -105.
Ace, he's going to take Buffalo and Ohio under 44.5. And then Iowa in basketball -19, which would be more points than they scored in football combined all year.
All right, shout out San Diego State. Last night in that under is 140. I got it 140.5. Haffa. Broken Devil Dog said it was Mike RFF Lifestyle. He's a CMU
Love it.
grad. All right, let's get to the poll. 8 o'clock already. Is Jake A? This comes from the Booster Club, not me.
What?
Not me. Is Jake A French spy or an Alabama homer?
I don't want to answer this. I plead the fifth.
Oh, they said French spy. French spy. Let's go 65%.
It's just,
Even though
it's hard for me to believe.
I want it
Dave,
to be Alabama.
when I look at the poll and then just I see his name all through the chat. Yeah, you know, I just see his name entirely through the chat, which he's
But I
probably
can't
not
see
looking
it.
out of it.
It goes at the top.
Yeah, but
It doesn't show you the percentage.
we all know why you
see.
won
Click on it,
Steve's
yeah,
board at the tailgate too with your electronic devices. So, sorry.
You got to say something, Jake.
No, I'm neither.
Don't do that.
Wait, did I get the percentage
Don't
right?
do that.
They said I'm a French spy. They said I'm a French spy.
What percentage?
71%.
Damn. French spy, 59%.
Okay, a little better than I thought.
Alabama homer, 41%.
I wish that one won out.
God.
Well, I am neither. All right. We appreciate you guys. Got a great show for you tomorrow. Going to talk about the college football rankings that come out. We got more college basketball tonight. I'm sure there'll be some crazy news that'll break. Caleb Williams may go crying in his dad's arms this time. I don't know. But make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. Thanks for everybody that's calling. Thanks for all the donations and the people in the chat. And like the chances of this Auburn-Arkansas game being a fireworks display offensively, we're going. That's right. Yeah, I did that on purpose. We're gone.